Okay. Good evening, Loyola community. My name is Pedro Guerrero, and I serve as your current student body president. Thank you very much for joining us for this first presidential debate. On my right, we have presidential candidate Flavio Bravo, who will give our first opening statement. Flavio?
Good evening. My name is Flavio Bravo, and I'm running on a presidential ticket with Michael Puzzo. Tonight, I'm excited and honored to speak with all of you about not only why Michael and I hold more than enough experience to serve you, our peers, but also why the platform that we've created details 4 specific points about how we create meaningful benefits for our students here at Loyola. Our first pillar that we know addresses maybe one of the greatest concerns here at Loyola is raising student awareness. If you look at the past 2-3 years, some of the biggest issues are that students were not involved in the decision-making process. Michael and I know that a lot of it goes to the fault of USGA. As elected representatives of the Unified Student Government Association, it is our duty to serve all of you, and we realize that. Our second pillar is to create student change. Michael and I are sophomores. We realize that's different here at Loyola. At Creighton University, the president is a junior. At Arizona State University, the president's a junior. And we know that is maybe one of the best parts of our platforms for change, because we won't be stressed with graduation requirements. We won't have to deal with the idea of maybe graduating and having to deal with law school applications or med school applications. But also, we don't know where we'll be at in 2 years, but we know that we'll be here on campus, and we'll be able to help pass creative and meaningful benefits and legislation for our students. Our third point is to unite our communities. Michael and I are both from out of state. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. He's from Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. We're both guests to Rogers Park and Edgewater. We realize that the way that students interact with our community is incredibly important. We would like to go past more than just noise violations on a Friday night. We know that if we can create a chief community relations officer, this is a student that would be able to sit at the table, sit on a council in Rogers Park and Edgewater from a student perspective and speak with not only policymakers and aldermen, but be able to offer a student perspective. And finally, while creating innovative ideas for the university, we would like to remain committed to the mission of the university. Loyola is the largest Jesuit Catholic university in the country. I've attended Jesuit school since the 4th grade. I live and breed AMDG, and I'm always excited to share with students why Loyola is the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Flavio. All right, and on my left, we have Phillip-John Puzzo, another candidate for president. Philip?
Hi guys, like Pedro said, my name is Phillip-John Puzzo. I'm a junior studying political science and international studies with a minor in peace study. I'm running for president of USGA for several very important reasons. However, my most significant motivation is to maximize the student experience, which is the slogan of our campaign. My undergraduate career at Loyola University Chicago has been the most exciting and wonderful time of my life, and I want all other Ramblers to feel the same joy I have when I walk through campus. That's why Sam and I want to maximize your student potential. Maximize the student experience, sorry. My extensive and diverse student government and extracurricular experiences make me the most ideal candidate to be president of USGA. I've served on the Communications Committee before it was absolved, the Spring Elections Board twice, which organizes this debate, the Events Planning Committee, and the Safety and Wellness Committee as both a senator and chairperson for over the past 2.5 years. Sam and I have sponsored and co-sponsored over 20 pieces of legislation and worked with over 100 administrators in every Loyola department since our freshman year. Furthermore, we both served as peer leaders in the Office of Student Leadership Development, where we received comprehensive training in social change theory, as well as developed our personal leadership styles. We've both committed over 400 hours of community service to the greater Chicago community through Alpha Phi Omega, the service fraternity, and Loyola through Chicago, and as philanthropy chair of the fraternity Sigma Alpha Epsilon. In our platform, we're advocating for 3 C's. First, we're committed to creating an inclusive and diverse campus. We believe diversity is one of the most salient issues troubling our campus, and we want to increase opportunities for racial, ethnic, socioeconomic, and age minorities to attend Loyola. Second is cultivating sustainable initiatives. We want to continue to support the incredible steps Loyola has taken to be one of the most green universities in the country. However, more needs to be done. including advertisement of the Green Initiative Fund, so all $50,000 available is used for student projects, as well as many other things. The third C is confirming the value of your academic degree through fostering innovation and creative thinking on campus to make Loyola University Chicago one of the best institutions in the world. We're on the forefront of being one of the absolute top Jesuit universities like Boston College and Georgetown, and Sam and I want to be a small gear in the large machinery propelling Loyola forward. One of the biggest reasons why Sam and I should be president is because of our age. Thousands of universities have been functioning successfully because of junior presidents and vice presidents, and why should we disrupt the status quo? Also, Samantha and I are residents of Chicago, and you elect officials from the place where you live and you grew up. That's all for my opening statement. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, candidates, we're now going to move into the question portion of the debate. We're going to start first with Phillip-John Puzzo. Philip, how do you see you and your running mate working together?
That's a great question, Pedro. Samantha and I have been prepping for this position for 3 years. We complement each other so well in a number of different ways. Like I said, we both worked in the Office of Student Leadership Development, and together we worked for countless hours to develop our leadership pedagogy and deeply studied social change theory in order to apply it to our future executive administration. We challenge each other in incredible ways, and being close friends helps that a lot. We're not afraid to say the hard things. Samantha is an unbelievable student leader, and I couldn't imagine doing this with anyone else, even though she is abroad. 35% of students at Loyola study abroad, and J-Force is an important extension of Loyola University Chicago. And I couldn't be more proud that we're representing those students and that I'm running with her.
Great. Mr. Bravo, your response?
Absolutely. So around November, Michael and I were thinking, do we take that risk? Do we go abroad, or we take a greater risk and serve our students here at Loyola? And we chose the second. And we weren't sure at first, who would be president, who would be vice president, but then we realized, the work that Michael has done this year with internal affairs as the chair of the Residence Life and Dining Committee, serving on academic affairs last year, being a part of the Green Initiative Fund, working on just leasing. It's amazing. I'm inspired by the work he does. And with what I've done here at Loyola, I believe a more broad approach. Right now I work in Res Life. I've worked with the Community Service and Action Office, Campus Ministry Office. I've represented Loyola at the Ignatian Family Teach-In, at the National Jesuit Student Leadership Conference, at the opening of the releasing of the studies last year. I went with you on the Immigration Summit. And those are very things that I'm proud of, and I want to make sure that other students have the opportunity to have the same experience that I've had, one that's flourished.
Great. Philip, do you have any response to that?
No, I don't.
Great. All right, moving on to our next question. Flavio, you'll go first this time. What 3 words best describe your leadership style?
I'd say loving, humble, and unique.
Great. And why do you think that is?
I know all too often the leaders of our student government may think too highly of themselves. My biggest thing that I've told Michael is that we need to be humble about this. We have to realize that it's a student government, that years ago we were the biggest fans of Mickey Mouse and Elmo. I mean, we're not the oldest, but neither is our opponent, and we realize that. And so we need to be humble. We need to realize that as tough as it might be for us, other students are facing a tougher path, and we need to help them out. I believe that my leadership style is unique because the experiences that I've had. I'm a first-generation student here at Loyola. My parents did not have the opportunity to go to college, but I know that I'm blessed to go here. And I'd say loving because while I may not appear to be as aggressive as some, I'm there for the students first, and I realize that, and that's something that I'm proud of.
Great, thank you. Mr. Puzzo.
My 3 words, the first I'm going to say is forceful. Obviously, my opponent and I have very different leadership styles, and after studying leadership for a very long time, I found this to be the more effective way to lead, and so has Samantha. We have had 2 years more experience than our opponents to observe higher education and how this administration works, and we believe the best way to do that is to be strong in our opinions. However, my second word is we are facilitating. Our executive administration is here for students. We are going to support students in every way that we possibly can. Like Flavio said, Sam and I have had our struggles in the past in our lives, and now we are in great places, but there are students who do still need help, and we want to be there for them. Students who are thinking about transferring, students who are thinking about studying, who are struggling when they're abroad, us helping them. Our third word, thanks Emily, our third word is determined. I think that it says a lot about myself that I ran with someone who is abroad. I'm doing double the work on 2 different campuses, and I think that shows a lot about who I am and the type of leader that I am and the experience that I have. I knew the cards that I was being dealt when I chose to run with Samantha, but I chose to do them anyway because I know Sam and I are the best team to run this organization. We are determined. Our work ethic is truly unmatched.
Thank you. Mr. Bravo, do you have any response to that?
I do not.
Great. All right, moving on. Let's see. Mr. Puzzo, what have you accomplished in the past that you will continue to push forward if elected as president of USGA?
That is a fantastic, fantastic question. So one thing that we have done is Sam and I have worked closely with Brittany Abraham and other senators on the Chief Diversity Officer proposal. We put in countless hours, I feel like I'm saying that a lot. We put in countless hours to write a 16-page proposal to have a Chief Diversity Officer be in Father Garanzini's cabinet. And we are going to continue to support that. Currently, I just wrote the Religious Freedom and Marriage Fairness Act to reverse the discriminatory marriage policy that was just created at Loyola. I have sponsored and co-sponsored many pieces of legislation, and yep, that's my answer.
Great, thank you. Mr. Bravo, same question for you.
Absolutely. So I won't speak just on behalf of myself and Michael as well. We have worked to really create meaningful benefits for the students. We especially, I think, groups and populations that don't have the best representation. I serve as a mentor right now for the Men of Color Initiative, and I understand the struggle that commuter students go through. You know, a lot of the heart of the problem that commuter students go through is the financial and the idea that maybe they cannot afford a Loyola education. And so they will risk going a half hour, 1 hour, 2 hour commute to campus each day. Last year they had a commuter lounge, this year they do not. Michael and I don't know if that's the best idea, a commuter lounge, but we want to ask commuter students, make them feel comfortable to approach USGA, and for them to say, you know, maybe this is what we want, this is what would best help us prepare. Overall, though, I'd say we have worked to help the students at Loyola. As the chair of the Residence Life and Dining Committee, Michael recently wrote legislation to change the name because we realized that that committee was limited to only serving, in its title alone, to residents on campus. An issue that's very dear to my heart, and you know this, Pedro, is that serving undocumented students at Loyola. We live in Chicago, a city that's a safe haven for immigrants, but the policies that we have right now aren't the most supportive for a population that lives in fear each day. Right now, I'm the only undergraduate student that sits on the University Collaborative on Undocumented Students, and that's just one example of how I'm working to help the students.
Great. Do you have any response?
I do actually. I'd like my opponent to know that commuter research has actually already been completed. I've worked closely with IKEA, who works with commuter students, when I was chair of the Safety and Wellness Committee for a year. And a lounge is something that Sam and I are going to be pushing for, and it is something that commuter students want. Also, to speak more about my vice president, Samantha's work for students has been absolutely incredible. Last year, she was chair of the dining committee, and we had that whole meal plan breakdown, and it was terrible. She started a Change.org petition that got over 11,000 signatures, and there ended up being declining balance for incoming freshmen for the next year because of that petition, which ended up saving students around $1 million, which is just incredible work.
Great, thank you. All right, Mr. Bravo, what are other campus involvements that you have personally experienced, and how have you demonstrated leadership in these campus involvements?
Absolutely. So Residence Life last year took a change where they realized, they wanted to establish a new learning community on campus. In the past, we had learning community mentors. I was a senator last year on USGA, but when I heard the opportunity to become a learning community assistant for the service and faith learning community, that was a leadership opportunity I jumped on. I was excited to tell students and help them understand what does it mean to attend a Jesuit university. So many students come to Loyola because the value of the degree, which is important, but maybe they don't understand the background behind it, and that's the cherry on top. I've represented Loyola, as I said earlier, at the Ignatian Family Teach-In. This year, I worked with you to host and to organize the first annual Student Summit on Immigration Reform. Immigration is it's an issue that's very close to my heart, and I realize in the Midwest, maybe not every student is aware of the issue. Maybe they don't know what's going on. And so what Michael and I want to do with every initiative of ours, is we want to create education, and we want to educate the students so that they're well aware of the issues. We do not want to rush legislation. We want to be careful with every single piece of legislation we propose and to make sure that it's detailed and has the most careful attention to represent the students best.
Thank you. Mr. Puzzo?
Samantha and I in our future administration will not be attempting to influence legislation at all, since that isn't our duty as the executive branch. In accordance for my previous leadership experience, I was in Loyola for Chicago's leader, as you are also in Loyola for Chicago. I've done over 300 community service hours through that organization. I led a group to Misericordia for a year, and I led a group to Northside Housing for a year. I also am a brother of Sigma Alpha Epsilon, the social fraternity, and I have served as philanthropy chair for 2 years in that, and have done countless work through that as well. I'm a member of Advocate. I have attended NJSLC. I've gone on multiple service trips through Greeks for a Good Cause and the Office of Community Service and Action. And then just to repeat my diverse USGA experience of being on the Communications Committee, Spring Elections Board twice, the Events Planning Committee, and running the Safety and Wellness Committee. In all of these leadership positions, I have learned an incredible amount about myself. And I've learned what leadership styles work and what don't. And I feel incredibly privileged to understand what works and what doesn't within USGA, and encompassing all of my extracurricular activities and all of those life experiences will make me the best leader for this organization.
Great. Mr. Bravo?
Absolutely. I'd like to just mention that, I don't want to spend tonight speaking about myself, because our platform shows detailed ways that we can serve the students, the service organizations, the clubs on campus. I feel like right now, the way that USGA works is the top-bottom approach, where organizations think, oh, I know USGA, that's the organization that denied me funding. Or, oh, I remember them, they came and spoke when they wanted to win an election. That was about it. And I know, and you can't understand that unless you're a part of a student org. And that is so powerful. And so, if anything, I know that Michael and I, we want to create, through our platform, the opportunity to inspire our senators to create meaningful legislation.
Great, thank you. All right, next question, Mr. Puzzo. Question on everyone's mind. Why would you be a good president for Loyola University Chicago's student body?
Why would I be a good president? Well, as I've already mentioned, experience. I think that's incredibly important. I think that my year of maturity over our opponents is also incredibly important. My global experience and Samantha's global experience has changed our lives forever, has changed my outlook on life forever. And as I'm sure you know, every year as being such a young person, you grow and you change so much. And I truly believe that Samantha and I are in a completely different place than our opponents in how we would approach USGA and how we are going to approach USGA. I believe that I have the unrivaled networks and the unparalleled knowledge to make USGA better than it has ever been before. I agree with my opponent that USGA needs a completely new rebranding, and Samantha and I are going to work with the communications chair to rebrand USGA in a completely new way where we facilitate for students. I want to be clear that I am going to talk about myself tonight because this is a debate, and I want to be clear that I am the best candidate by talking about myself, but I'm also a facilitator to students, and that is the primary duty of the executive ticket, is to facilitate for students, is to make them feel welcome at Loyola University Chicago, and to make them feel like it is at home, they are at home, like Sam and I have felt.
Mr. Bravo, why would you be a good president?
Absolutely. So I think I would be the ideal president. I know so because everything I approach, I'm going to be humble about it, but also realistic. I know that while Michael and I aren't sure we're doing in 2 years, we know that with everything, you have maybe 1 year to really create positive change. Before we even thought about running, we went through all of our ideas with our peers, with student organizations. We met with organizations that said they've never been approached by USGA before, seniors. We met with administrators that said, wow, that's a great idea. It would be tough. This idea would challenge the university, but we could see that working out. And we know with anything, you have to meet halfway. We know that our administrators are there for us. A lot of the times, they rush decisions, and maybe we know they aren't receiving student input. I know that I would be a great president because I can sit with the student at the table and speak with them, and I will not speak for them. That's all.
Thank you. Do you have anything to add, Mr. Puzzo?
I do not.
Great. All right, next question. How would you say that your peers describe you?
Let's say as an energetic student who loves Loyola in ways that are maybe quirkier than others. Mm-hmm. So I'd say, from my involvement, trying to get students here, I'm thankful that I have friends supporting me here tonight, that I have my family watching live, but when I think students think of me, they think there are those that talk a lot and say a lot about themselves, and there are those that do work. And Michael and I know that in the end, it's what we do that'll stand out. It's the realistic solutions to create meaningful benefits for students. That is what's going to stand out to our peers, and I'm proud to have that brand right now.
Thank you, Mr. Puzzo.
I think the number one word that my friends and peers would say about me is charismatic. I always just try to be incredibly supportive of everyone that's around me and just try to be polite because there's no better way to make a first impression. I think the second word that they would say is that I'm a leader. I truly believe that my work ethic just comes from a different planet. On Monday, after campaigning for 14, 15 hours, I literally had holes in my socks from the day's work. That work ethic, that passion, comes from my love for Loyola and love for what this university can accomplish in the future. Sam and I are so excited for the value of our degree to increase and the reputation of Loyola to become even stronger on a national and an international level. And I think that people see me as someone who is ready to propel Loyola in that way.
Great. Do you have anything else to add?
Absolutely. We know, Michael and I, that what we're doing here is different. We do want to change the status quo. If students are going to have a different experience with our student government leaders at the beginning of their orientation at Loyola, it has to be entirely different, an entire 180 change, and we're excited about that. Michael and I are proposing something that's different, but it is unique to Loyola, but not bizarre across the nation. That's all.
Great. We'll move on to our next question. Now, as outgoing president, my vice president and I ran on a 3-tiered platform of serving undervoiced populations at Loyola, addressing student apathy and tuition issues. Which of these 3 issues do you find to be most pertinent to the student body, and how would you address this issue?
I actually think both 2 and 3 are fairly equal. So the first is student apathy. This is something that is plaguing our campus. 24.2% of our students voted last year, and we're trying to get over 30%, which is an amazing goal, but 30%, and it isn't just apathy within USGA, it's apathy with extracurriculars, it's apathy with wanting people to find their niche at a Jesuit institution, apathy in understanding what community is and where that community can be found. And then the third one, tuition issues. I think that's incredibly important as well. As you know, there's a new tuition program being instituted for incoming freshmen, and it's a victory for USGA. When I was a freshman, that's something that Sean Vera was pushing and that we helped him push for, is the grandfather clause on tuition. And I think that we need to advertise that as a victory for USGA. But we have to monitor where this new tuition program is going. I know it's slightly off topic, but tuition issues, good job, Pedro. Now it's not an issue anymore.
you have anything else to add?
Absolutely. So, in regards to apathy, we have not given students a reason for them to get involved in student government. With programs that we have like OrgSync, where not even the leaders of organizations know how to use it. If we have these kind of relationships, that's a struggle that needs to be addressed. In regards to tuition, Michael and I are pleased to know about the grandfather clause. That's exciting. But also, in our platform, we propose ideas to lower the cost of attendance, the COA, for all students at Loyola through different ways, through textbook fees. When Senator Durbin met with Father Garanzini, he said, if molecular biology doesn't change from 50 years, why does from one year to another is the newer version so much more expensive? What Michael and I proposed is to work with the nonprofit OpenStax. It's used at Rice University. They want to partner with Loyola Chicago, and it would create PDF versions of textbooks for free and physical copies for $30 to $50, which is substantially lower. They're just waiting for us to make that relationship with them.